Hello and welcome to the lecture series on Railways, Harbour Tunnelling and Airport for the subject code 18 CV 645, Module 4 Airport Planning and Session 1, that is Air Transport Characteristics and Airport Classification. In this session we will going to discuss and we will going to introduce the Module 4, the content of this Module 4. Then we will going to discuss the characteristics of air as a transport, then airport classification and relevant references. Moving on to the module 4, the syllabus. So as we discussed in the module of the 1, that is in the introductory module, so we will going to discuss the module 4 in detail here. So as far the syllabus has been concerned, the module 4 we are going to be having a planning with respect to the airport. So first is going to study the air transport characteristics, then airport classifications, then is going to be having a planning of an airport, the objective of planning of an airport and what are the components of an airport, layout characteristics, then socio-economic characteristics of the catchment area, criteria for site selection of an airport, and ICO stipulations and airport layouts. There are different layouts of an airport, then parking and circulation area. So all these are going to be covered in module number 4. So moving on to the advantages. So we are going to be having a different modes of transport. So each mode is going to be having advantages and some disadvantages. So moving on to the air as a mode of transport. So advantages will be, first one is a rapidity. It means it is going to be a quicker, as we know that the speed is going to be higher, hence we can say the air as a mode of transport is going to be having a rapidity in connectivity. So next is going to be connectivity and accessibility. So that is a one advantage. Next is a fastest mode, as I said it. So next is going to be we can navigate continuously over the obstacles. So you say in case of surface mode, but whereas in case of air as a mode of transport, we can navigate continuously over the mountains and oceans without any break. So that is an advantage. So even we can access the remote locations such as the forest land and snowbound area or the mountain, so where other mode cannot be accessed. So these are all the advantages of a air as a mode of transport. So quickly I will read it out. One is the rapidity, continuity and accessibility is a fastest mode, and continuous over the obstacles and accessing the remote location. So these are all advantages. Moving on to disadvantages. So it is also having some disadvantages. It is going to be having a limited operations. It means as compared to the surface mode or road as a transport network, it can't be a point-to-point service. It is going to be accessible with a limited areas of operation. So that is the one disadvantage. Next is the operation is somewhat expensive because of fuel and air charges. It is going to be somewhat costly as compared to the journey or the operation. Next is the capacity. It is a limited capacity, but as compared to other modes of transport. Then the weather conditions, so it is not going to be a fair weather because it can't be operated continuously. Say for example, the weathers might be of a snow or heavy rainfall or a fog or visibility criteria. So in such cases we can't operate airplanes. So that is also a disadvantage of this air as a mode of transport. And next is a strict flight rule. So there is a guidance, so according to which we need to operate the flight, hence it is going to be having some disadvantage with respect to air as a mode of transport. Moving on to the next thing, there is going to be agencies which is going to give the specification for a airport. So these are going to be recommending agency according to which the design stipulations or specifications are to be followed with respect to site selection, planning, designing and operation and maintenance. First one is going to be called as an ICAO. So ICAO stands for International Civil Aviation Organization, so where it is in Montreal, that is in Canada. This is a headquarter. So all the international civil aviations are going to be followed by using this ICAO recommendations. Moving on to the next one, agency, it is a FAA, that is going to be a Federal Aviation Agency. It is in the USA. So some stipulations are also, or the specifications are also going to be used with respect to FAA. So the headquarter is in New York. And moving to the DGCA, so that is in India as concerned. So we are going to be having a DGCA. It means that it is going to be a Director General of Civil Aviation. So that is the headquarter is in New Delhi. Similarly, we are going to be having AAI, that is the Airport Authority of India, and its headquarter is once again in New Delhi. And ANA, that is the National Airport Authority. So these are all different agencies for where they are going to giving the specification for airport. So we defined airport. So how are we going to define the airport? Airport is an area so which is going to be used regularly for landing and takeoff of an aircraft, so which is provided with all the facility for sheltering and repairing of an aircraft. Additionally, so other facilities for both the passenger and cargo are going to be provided. So that is going to be called as an airport. It means always we know that a port is going to be station which is having all the facility. Suppose if you are going to be having air as a mode of transport, so that port where the facilities is been provided for operation of an aircraft is going to be called as an airport. So we move to the next thing, air network connectivity in Karnataka has been concerned. So this is the map where in which we are going to be having a different airports situated here. So some of them are going to be functional and it is going to be in airstrip. So try to look at the legend here, so where it is been given that. So this mark indicates the airport and this is the capital places, and this triangular mark indicates the airstrip. So say for example Gulbarga, it has been a functional airport, but when we taken this image it's going to be an airstrip. Similarly Hospet and Hubli, but now it is going to be already an airport here. So Asan, it is going to be still in construction. So Mangalore, it is going to be an airport. Bangalore is an airport. So like Belgaum is also going to be having the airport. So that is the scenario of the Karnataka where we are going to be concerned air route network with respect to the airport and airstrips has been concerned. Suppose if you are going to be concerned with the scenario of India with respect to domestic network has been concerned. So these are all the connectivity. The red color squares indicates the air network connectivity. So here in the legend it is been given, it is going to be having air network connectivity between the two stations. And if it is going to be a dotted line, then we are going to be having an international boundary. So few of these airports are going to be an international one, and all the red color mark we have been marked here are going to be domestic airports in India. Say for example we are going to be having a Bengaluru, but it is going to be having both domestic and as well as also the international one. Similarly Chennai is also going to be having a domestic and international. Kolkata, then Delhi, after that one there is a Mumbai. So all these places are going to be having both domestic and as well as also international one. So some more area where we are going to be having a domestic airports. So moving on to the international airports in India. So these are all the places where we are going to be having international routes or the airport. One is Delhi, then Kolkata, Hyderabad, Bangalore, like that. So there are plenty more are going to become in Udan scheme also. So moving on to the development of air transport. So air transport is going to be in year 1949. The world first jet airliner was been started flying from the Hatfield airport. So just it is going to be north of London, so that is the capital of John Congham, to an altitude of 8,000 feet. So that is the first jet plane. It is being introduced in the year 1949. So in the year 1954, the Boeing Dash 80 of prototype B707 first flight was started its operation. So this is the first Boeing flight, it has been started operating. So then Concorde B747 is started in the year 1969. In 1988, Airbus A320, that is a fly-by-wire, has been started its services. In the 2006, Airbus A328 flight was started. So that is an history, but while we look back to the development of air transport in India has been concerned. So it will be started in the year 1911, that is during the post of our independence. So first flight was going to be started in India from Allahabad to Naini, that is in the year 1911. So in the year 1912, the flight between the Delhi and Karachi has been started. Similarly, in the year 1927, Civil Aviation Department has started established to control the flight movement. In 1929, we have been having a regular air services which has been started from Delhi to Karachi. Whereas in 1932, the Tata Airway Limited was set up for the air transport. So in the year 1933, that is the Indian Transcontinental Airway was been started and it has been formed. So in the year 1938, by the end of 153, that is in the 1938 end of the calendar, we are going to be having a 153 aircrafts has been registered. Similarly, in 1946, a Air Transport Licensing Board has been established to give the licensing. So in the independence, that is in just in 1947 has been concerned, Tata Airways has changed its name to Air India Limited. So in the year 1953, Air Transport Corporation Bill was made provision, and it's for establishment of two corporation, one for the domestic purpose and another one is going to be with respect to international services has been concerned. So in the year 1972, the International Airport Authority of India was set up. So as we know that as there is an increase with respect to international flights, so there is an authority was set up in the year 1972 to look after all the things with respect to the air transport with respect to international network. Similarly, in the year 1981, the Vaidut services was started and it is going to merge with the Indian Airlines in the year 1993. So in 1985, the first air taxis policies was been announced. So in 1994, the Airport Authority of India was been formed and it has been merged in accordance with the IAE, that is been established in 1972, and National Air Authority NAA. So that is a brief history with respect to air transport in India has been concerned. As we know that we have been having a different agencies which has been operating our air transport. First one is going to be the Air India, so it's going to be some government sector, and coming to the private sector, we are going to be having a Jet Airways, Spice, Indigo, TrueJet, like this. Just I have mentioned a few of them. So there are many more which are going to be operating throughout India and international flights. So that is the agency where we have been having the air transport in Indian network. So this is a symbol of Airport Authority of India. Moving on to the next concept, that is a airport classification. So this classification is once again going to be based on as we said, it is going to be a recommendation from ICO, FAA or AAI. So these classifications are going to be based on the geometrical standards based on the airport, which depends upon the performance characteristics. So performance characteristics of an aircraft that are going to be using the particular airport, and some weather condition and service it is being rendered to the airport. So these are going to be the classification criteria. So apart from that one, so these classifications is going to be helpful in designing and also to have a uniformity with respect to standards. So this is a flow chart from which we can have a different classifications of airport has been concerned. So that is with respect to the ICO. So first moving on to the terminal airport. So Suppose if you are going to be having a terminal facilities and a filling station, then that is going to be called as an terminal airport. Suppose if it is going to be having a only safety aspect to promote it, we are going to be having an intermediate land port. So these are going to be a two type. So one, if you are going to be having a terminal facility, those are going to be called as an terminal airport, whereas just for a landing for the safety, it is going to be having intermediate nature. So those are going to be called as an intermediate landing port. So coming to the terminal airport, we are going to be widely classified into three types. One is with respect to defense, next one is a commercial, next one is with respect to ICAO classifications or the guidelines. Moving on to the first one, so it is called as a defense. So whenever we are going to be having a strategic point of view, so the runways or the airport which is going to be dedicated for the defense, so those are going to become under defense airport. So coming to the commercial, where we are been operating our commercial, both the government owned and also going to be a private owned. So these commercial terminal airports are once again classified to three types. One is based on the ownership, then based on the size of an airport, then it is going to be based on the operational criteria. So we are going to be having three criteria of commercial. So in this commercial, so if you are moved to the ownership, in this ownership we will going to be having a three type. One is a public, next is a joint, and next is going to be a private venture, it is going to be a joint venture. Next, coming to the size, we are going to be having a three type. So that is going to be a smaller, medium and larger type of an airport. So suppose if you are going to be having an airport or the area of operation, so we are going to be having a two type. One is with respect to the domestic one and another one is with respect to international one. So if it is going to be within the country boundary, so those are going to be called as a domestic. Suppose if it is going to be having connecting two countries, so those are going to be called as an international airport, so or terminal. So according to this one, so commercial we are going to be having three type: ownership, size and area of operation. So based on the terminal facility, so once again we are going to be having a ICAO recommendation classification. So ICAO recommendation classifications will going to be having a both alphanumerical, so that is going to be a reference codes. So one is with respect to the number, so numbers are going to be starting from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So this is based on wheel configuration and tire pressure has been concerned. So moving on to the letter code, so that is runway length has been concerned, we are going to be having A, B, C, D and E. So according to ICAO classification, so we are going to be having both alpha numerical types of classification. So this is a broader view and a flowchart of airport classification. So how we are going to be make use of this one. So moving on to the ICAO recommendation. So in this we are going to just given the hint of alphanumerical one. So here we are going to be starting with what exactly the geometrics recommendations we are going to be providing. So moving on to the first one, it is called as an effective gradient, how much maximum we are going to be providing it. Say in case of A, B and C type of an airport, the maximum effective gradient is going to be 1%. Similarly for D and E type it is 2%. Maximum transverse gradient for ABC type of an airport is 1.5. Similarly for D and D it is going to be 2%. So next is the based on a rate of change of longitudinal gradient. So we are measuring at every 30 meters of a vertical curve has been concerned. So we can allow 0.1% for both A and B and the remaining is going to be a 0.2%. So moving on to the safety area, the minimum width is going to be 150 meter for class A, B, C and 78 meters for a D and E. So at least 60 meter has to be provided beyond the actual runway on both end of our runway length. So this is the ICAO recommended airport classification. So moving on to the ICAO classification, that is based on the geometry, where we are going to be having a letter A, B, C, D, E. So this is the letter coding, as we've seen that is the A, B, C, D, E. So what exactly mean by the A? So that is based on the basic runway length has been taken into consideration. Say for example, if I say A type of an airport, it means where we are going to be having a minimum runway length is going to be 2.1 kilometer or 2100 meter, and it is going to be greater than that one. Having a width of runway pavement of 45 meters and a maximum longitudinal gradient is going to be 1.5%. Similarly, B type is going to be a minimum of 1500 to a maximum of 2099 meter, and having a same width of runway 45 meters and gradient of a 1.5. Similarly, a type C of an airport is going to be having starting from minimum runway length of 900 to maximum of 1499 and width of runway is 30 meter, and once again longitudinal grade is 1.5 meter. Moving on to the type D, it is going to be having minimum of 750 and maximum of 899 meter, and maximum width or width of runway is 22.5 meter. Then the longitudinal grade is 2%. Similarly, type E is going to be having 600 as a minimum and maximum is 749 meter. Width of a runway pavement is 18 meters and it is going to be once again 2% as a longitudinal grade. So this is with respect to alphabet. Moving on to the number, we have been seeing 1 to 7. So these numbers are going to be based on the ICAO recommendation for aircraft wheel characteristic. So one is with respect to wheel load in kg and second one is with respect to tire pressure. So as the number decreases, the values are going to be decreasing. Just observe it. Say if I am going to give the code 1, it means it is going to be having a single isolated wheel load is going to be 45,000 kgs and tire pressure is going to be 8.5 kg per centimeter square. Similarly, other numbers we are going to be having it. So least is going to be the 7. It means that as the number start increasing, the wheel load started decreasing. Similarly, tire pressure is also going to be decreasing. So another one is going to be based on the function has been concerned. So I think I had already covered, that is with respect to inside the periphery of a country, it is going to be called as a domestic or national. So outside the periphery or the boundary of a country, it is called as an international. Suppose if it is going to be a defense one, then it is going to be called as an military airport. So to prepare this, we are referred on the standard references Khanna SK and Aurora Airport Planning and Designing, and also C. Venkatramayya Transport Engineering Volume 2. So and also a few of the references has been made from Wikipedia. Thank you.